welcome to The Little Blue Pot. It's Jem here. Thank you for joining me on YouTube. I hope you are well. Welcome to Anxiety Part 6, Managing Stress. I'm going to be talking about what can cause these stresses and how to manage stresses, the stresses in our lives. But please check out my other anxiety videos, links in the description, especially the one about stress and how it impacts us as physical beings. Really important to understand stress because and note and identify what causes stress, because then we can nip it in the bud and start to focus on what we can do to manage this, which will hopefully prevent developing mental health problems, long-term physical health problems, and even make us live happier, healthy, longer lives. So what causes these stresses? I'm going to give some examples in a minute, but I'm going to sort of give a general overview as to what can cause these stresses. So being under a lot of pressure, facing big changes, worrying about something, not having any control over a situation, maybe having too many responsibilities that maybe are feeling overwhelming, or not having much work or activities or change going on. There might be one big thing causing you stress, or there might be lots of little things. And what causes one person stress may not cause someone else stress. It's important to identify what makes you feel stressed, not what's going on with everyone else. And to explain to other people maybe that you are feeling stressed about these things. But why do these certain things make us feel stressed? Well, there's three reasons here. Our perception of the event, so it might be connected with past experiences, self-esteem, how our thought process works. If you're a negative thinking person, you may approach a situation with negative thoughts. Or if you're more of a kind of more positive, you may think, yes, I'm going to take on this challenge, yes, 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 yes. Or you may be somewhere in between. But another way, number two, is how skilled we are at dealing with this pressure. You may be one of those people that kind of thrives on stress and things like that, but that isn't good, because you may be still getting the effects of stress across this and the rest of your body. How emotionally resilient we are to things. Now, because of my mental illness, I'm really not emotionally resilient, which is why these three things tended to affect me a lot at work: perception, how skilled we are at pressure, and our emotional resilience. So it may be that you for example find talking to someone, you may find that maybe public speaking is something that you thrive on, or maybe that public speaking makes you just go, oh, I'm going to be rubbish, and feel really upset with yourself, and then this can create more anxiety. So think about those three things when you are thinking about that situation, event, or the issue that is causing your stress. So let's give some examples here. So personal issues that can cause stress, personal issues or situations that can cause stress. Illness or injury or long-term health problems. It may be that this has had an impact on the rest of your life, maybe prevented you from going to work, school or college, or making you really, really poorly. And you may not have dealt with that stress at the time. It may be something that happens later on. Maybe you've been poorly or had, a severe illness that you've come out the other side, and then all of a sudden, poof, it hits you. Stress. Pregnancy and becoming a parent. There's lots of people I know that have experienced this stress, and it can be really, really hard. Bereavement as well, losing someone to death, losing someone, or even kind of losing friends, not necessarily to death, but to other things that maybe they moved away. And that, for me, that would be a kind of bereavement. So personal issues. Next, friends and family. So it could be that we're organising a complicated family event, and the build up to that may cause stress, but perhaps after that event has happened, the stress levels may go down. The more long-term things, so maybe going through a breakup or getting divorced, these things can have a real impact on us. And managing relationships, so it could be we're having difficult relationships with our parents, siblings, friends, or even our children. Being a carer of a friend or relative who needs a lot of support can also bring stresses, and I've seen that firsthand from Andy and my mum, that they can, not knowing who I'm going to be from day to day, can cause stress. And getting married as well, the build up to that, and then the after effects of, oh, it's over, and the sadness. So friends and family. Employment and study. So it might be that you are at work, school, college, and you experience things like long maybe exams, deadlines, difficult issues with employees, or the responsibilities at work, even starting a new job, losing a job, or even long-term unemployment and retirement can all bring with them their own stresses. Housing, where we live, our not just our immediate house that we are in, or maybe we're sharing with people, whatever, or maybe it's the location, the area we live in, or even just moving house. I think they say moving house, losing bereavement, or divorce are the three biggest stresses in lives. You may not have experienced any of those, or maybe one or two, but little stresses can also add up. So even if you haven't experienced big stresses, little stresses can be relative to you. We are all different, and we will all react to stress in different ways and experience different stresses in different ways. And finally, money. This was a huge one for me. It used to keep me awake at night. I was in a huge amount of debt, and I was having more money going out than I was coming in, so I had to address it. I had to go to a debt management plan, and I will talk more about how to manage those things shortly. So even if you are likely to even if you're likely to have things in your life that you can't control, there are lots of practical things you can do to manage them. So first of all, identify your triggers. Please check out my video on triggers for this. It's not just for people with mental illness. It can be anyone in the world that will be triggered by things that maybe others aren't. For example, if you're doing public speaking, some people may be triggered by that, whereas other people may thrive on that. Even if you can't avoid these situations, maybe because it's to do with work or a relationship or something like that, being prepared can really help. So take some time to reflect on the things that maybe are that trigger you to cause stress. Write them down, have a chat with someone, think about those things, and then write them down and say, oh, I get triggered by that, but actually I'm less triggered by that than that. And then you can kind of put a plan in place to address one at a time. And I can't stress that enough, one at a time. Okay, so you could consider, when you're doing this list, issues that come up regularly. So it could be regular deadlines. I worked sort of doing publications and monthly deadlines, weekly deadlines, managing all the content that was coming in, paying a bill or attending an appointment. Think about things that come up regularly and how you can manage those. One-off events such as moving house or taking an exam, think about how you can apply those. Maybe more planning in place, more time to revise, not kind of thinking I'm going to do it all the night before or pack the night before. I've moved before and I've packed the night before or the day before, and it was so stressful, and it made the whole event more stressful. So those are the three main things that you can do to help you identify your triggers, or to apply to your triggers once you have identified them. I think that makes sense. And you might, after you've made this list, think, oh, I'm coping with a lot, I'm awesome. And then you can say, actually, which ones do I really need to focus on? If you've got exams in maybe 6 months' time, you can think, okay, I'm going to address that maybe in 4 months' time. I don't know. Think about something and make that plan. Think about the stress and make a plan to help you be more prepared. So how can we do this? By organising our time. Identify the best time of day to approach your specific situation or events or issues that you have going on. It might be that you're a morning person, an afternoon person, an evening person. So then you can think, right, I'm going to address the bigger issues in the morning if you're a morning person, or if you think, actually, after dinner in the evening, I've got a more clear head, I'm more relaxed, that could be a better time for you to address those issues. So identifying the best time of day, make a list of things you have to do. My mum is really good at this. I need to get better, but making a list, and then, like I've said, prioritize those 3 things. Maybe like they're imminent, I need to do those in the next 3 days or the next week. Then put those ahead of maybe the things things you have to do within the next month. Apologies there. Vary your activities. Balance the interesting or the big tasks with the more mundane ones. So if you've got some really cool projects on the go, some coursework, or you've got some really interesting research to be doing, then focus on that first. And also, it's quite a bigger thing perhaps, and then focus on the smaller, more mundane things, like maybe paying a bill. But then maybe paying a bill to you is the bigger stress than doing your research. Everyone is different. So I don't know why I did that stupid voice. Try not to take on too much. And I used to do this when I was working. Be saying yes, I've got to do that email because they've emailed, I've got to email straight away and answer that phone call and manage this and make sure the printers are doing that, and make sure that if you're doing too much, this can make you more stressed, and meaning this will actually have an impact on the work you're doing, maybe making it not as good as you normally would produce, or maybe make you sort of get a lower grade in your exam because all you're thinking about are the stresses. So identifying the stress, identifying the best time of day, make a list of what you have to do, vary those activities, try not to take things too much at once, and finally take a break and take things slowly. If you're feeling stressed, think, right, today I'm going to have a day off, or this afternoon I'm going to have a day off. I'm not going to think about it. I'm going to schedule in some time to do that. Worry list, make a worry list and say, I'm going to schedule in a time to make that worry, to do those worries. I'm not going to think about them now. And remember if you want to check it out, my video on setting goals, small steps. If you can apply that setting goals to your worries, to the events that are causing you stress, then you can hopefully get a handle on them and be able to manage them better. And if you think you need to address there's things in life that maybe you've been putting off, address those situations. If you're struggling with a relationship with someone, maybe try and go and meet for coffee, have a chat with them, or maybe chat to someone else who maybe knows that person. Say, how do I approach this? How do I approach this stress? How do I approach this person? There are practical things you can do, but then not everything will have a practical approach to it. However, you can try your best to approach it as pragmatically as possible. It all depends on what the stress is and how you deal with stress and how you interpret that stress. You might find it helpful as well to read booklets. The PDF that is in the description that I'm referring that I've used today for my research is really good, but there's stuff online, there's videos on YouTube, and there are places you can go, the library, booklets, pamphlets, lots of things you can do that maybe will help you apply small steps to your stress management. And finally, accept the things you can change and get rid of the things you can't. There are lots of stresses in the world at the moment that I can't stand the state of the world, and it stresses me out so much, making me depressed, making me anxious, making me angry, but I can't change that. Yeah, I can make small things. I can be an advocate for mental illness and say that mental illness and physical illness should be treated the same way, but I can't physically make a change to those things going on. But the things I can change in my life, my relationships that maybe I struggle with, my deadlines, the 31 days of mental health that caused a great deal of stress to me, but please check it out. Those sort of things, apply your worries, identify the areas that you can and let go of the things you can't. Hard, but all of this is easier said than done, and we are all individuals, but try some of these things, check out the PDF, because the sooner we address the issue of address our stresses, the easier that we are to take them from this muddle of worry, confusion and stress, and the more likely we are able to manage it, perhaps even preventing us from developing mental health problems, mental illness and other illnesses that will have a huge impact on our life and those around us. Please let me know what you think of this video. I hope it's been helpful, hope it's been useful. Please comment in the space below, share with me your experience of stress management. Have you got any tips for anyone that could help them manage their stress a bit better? Thanks for watching as always. You are all awesome people, and please like and subscribe if you haven't already, and I will see you next time. Take care now. Bye.